Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and recently we had a little windstorm. It wasn't as severe as some of them, but I know it did a little bit of messing things up. I'll say that. I don't think it did any damage. My son had these pieces of siding laying up on the roof of his container, and as you can see, they got flipped upside down, and so fortunately they didn't get blown over into the neighbor's yard. So could have been a lot worse than that. And then there was some other damage on the other side of the shop. I was thinking there was, and so we'll go check on that. But while we're flying, I'll also tell you a story or two. In my last video, I was talking about how much fun I had with my students when I was teaching at Pasco High School. And I even had one look me up recently, well, within the last year or so. And he was in my electronics class, and he went on to be in electronics, and took me and my wife out to dinner, and we spent some time together at his place. So that was kind of fun, getting to know each other all over again. And he's gray-headed like me, because I was in my mid-20s when I was teaching the electronics class. So anyway, he wasn't that much younger than me. Now we're going to fly over this roof. By the way, we're going to have this roof done professionally. My son has done so many tries to make that roof work, and each time the wind comes along or the rainstorms come along, and so we haven't had excellent success with it. So we're going to have somebody come in and spray some stuff on it that's going to make it really, really tough. So anyway, that's what I was concerned about. He had that piece of siding on top of the 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 air conditioning unit, the outdoor ones. And that feeds, as you can see, the tubes going out to the right and the left, that feeds our house, our little house where we live there, and his shop. So what he had done was he had placed a piece of siding at an angle, because the strongest winds come from the east, and so they would fly up over that instead of hitting the side of the outdoor air conditioning unit. All right, because sometimes at my age, I have a hard time remembering exactly what things are called. I'm using this gadget called a computer. Well, anyway, so I thought I'd tell some stories about my students. And one of the things that I used to do, I could do it in my mechanical drawing class, because the rule was, if I saw you cheating, then I would come by and tear your paper up, and you would get an F for that test. And so, and my students were okay. They knew that. And so a lot of times what I would do is I would be walking around during the test, and they were all multiple choice, so they were sitting there working on the test. And I'd walk by, and I'd usually pick a kid in the front row so I could keep on walking after I did my little trick. And so what I would do is I would grab his test, walk away with it, and then I would blow on it with my mouth and make it sound like I ripped the paper in half. I'll show you. I made a recording of it. We'll see if it works. And by the way, did you see me wave? So that was the sound effect. So what I would do is I'd walk by and I'd do that. I could only do it once in a class, because after and the kid would panic, and then I'd turn around and I'd give him his paper back. So and usually I wouldn't take it until they had raised their hand and said they were ready for me to pick up their test. So make that clear. Okay, so I played a lot of tricks on my students, and they played some tricks on me too. I told you about turning off the light bulbs, or unscrewing the light bulbs. So this other part of the one of the stories that they played on me is, it was the last day of school before Christmas vacation, and when we got down to the 6th period, which was the last class of the day, in my mechanical drawing class, and the classroom had a little storage room right behind the desk where I sat, and it wasn't a big storage room, but it was fairly large. And so I had to go to the office for some reason, and And usually when I came back from going to the office, they played their tricks on me, like turning off the lights and unscrewing the light bulbs. So this particular day, I went to the office and took care of it. Like when I came back in the room, there was a big note on the board that said, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Kent." And there was nobody in the class. And of course, it was okay for them to go ahead and leave because it wasn't a closed campus. So then they, I thought, well, so they left. So I sat down at my desk and I'm sitting there working on paperwork and stuff. And I hear this funny sound behind me. And then I turn around and I open up the storage room and they're all in there and they all say, "Merry Christmas" together. And then they came out. So here we are, we're looking at a thermometer that my sister gave me many years ago. And that's 50 years old, I think. But anyway, so as you can see, at 7 o'clock in the morning, it's 95 degrees, but that's sitting in the sun. There's yesterday's temperature, which was 110 when it was in the shade. And those are the kind of temperatures we have been having. This is the middle of July, and so that's to be expected. Fortunately, we haven't had a whole lot of monsoon storms. Another trick that they played on me, I think I got time to tell a story, is I told this story before. When calculators first came out, I had been teaching the slide rule in my electronics class. And when they first came out, they cost a lot of money, $250 for a 4-function calculator. Well, then the price finally came down to $65 after a while, so I was able to go get me one at Montgomery Ward. And so then I took it to class, and I would do my calculations in class. And then if a student wanted to borrow it, he could borrow it because it was a unique thing, and I didn't keep him from using it, so it'd be sitting up there on the desk. So one day I left the room again, and I came back, and when I got in there, I went to pick up the calculator, and it wouldn't work. And I said, "Anybody use this calculator while I was gone?" And nobody said a word. And that engine right there, my son picked it up the other day. I think he's wanting to put it in his red Chevy there on the right. I said, "Come on now, somebody used this and it doesn't work." And I started getting panicky. I mean, $65 back in those days was a lot of money. And so I'm really getting kind of nervous, and I'm saying somebody had to have used it because it worked the last time I used it, Well, then finally they all started laughing. And this kid that worked at Montgomery Ward where I had bought mine, somebody had returned one that didn't work. And so he asked them if he could take it home, and they said, yeah. So he took it home, he brought it to school. When I was out of the room, he took mine and put it under his desk, put his broken one up on my desk, and so, and I'm all mad at the class and everything. And so finally, he pulls it out from under his desk and says, "Oh, here's yours." And they all had a good laugh out of it. So anyway, but they got to see me get really tense, because like I said, back in the 70s, I think that was, $65 was a lot of money. But the calculator was nice, and it was much nicer than a slide rule. Much easier to use, and as you know now, you can get them free some places. But anyway, so that's my story, and that's my local flight, and I hope you enjoyed both. And I want to thank you for watching my videos as I come into land, and God bless.